Finally, I'm pleased to announce that the President will welcome the President of Romania to the White House on June 9th for a working visit. And with that, I'll take your questions. Cheryl.
Thanks, Sean. There have been conflicting reports this morning. Can you say whether the President has made a decision about whether to stay in or withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement?
I think the President's comments on this, that he'll be making a decision in the next few days, stand.
Will he have a formal cabinet meeting or a formal review before he makes that decision?
That'll obviously be up to the President to decide. Hunter.
Thank you, Sean. Do you think people should be concerned that the President posted somewhat of an incoherent tweet last night and that it then stayed up for hours?
No.
Why did it stay up so long? Is no one watching this?
No, I think the President and a small group of people know exactly what he meant. Blake.
Wait a minute.
Blake.
What is confetti?
Blake.
What does he mean?
Blake.
What is confetti?
Blake.
No, but still you can't.
Blake.
Itself?
Blake.
Is at this point with Paris, is it fully removed, fully stay in, or is there a middle ground that the President is willing to negotiate?
I think
some pieces cut out, some pieces remain.
Look, when the President has a decision, he'll make that announcement and he'll make it clear what the basis of that is.
And then,
Trey.
Thanks, Sean. Two quick questions. So to be clear, the President has not made a final decision on the Paris Climate Agreement?
I obviously don't know whether or not he's made it, but when he's ready to make an announcement, he'll make it clear.
And one quick follow-up. Who is he consulting with when he is making this decision? What factors is he considering?
He's listened to a lot of people, both here, industry leaders, as I think Director Cohen mentioned last week. He consulted with foreign leaders, but he's talked to industry leaders. He's had a lot of input, and ultimately he'll make the decision. John.
Thank you, Sean. Two questions. First, yesterday you spoke very strongly and passionately about the President's commitments to human rights. Will he bring up his own strong belief in human rights with the Prime Minister of Vietnam, particularly given the very negative reports on human rights from Human Rights Watch and the State Department?
I'm not going to get into the private discussions the President's had. I think we've talked about this with respect to other foreign leaders, that he believes that a lot of the effectiveness of his actions is done behind scenes, and we'll have a readout for that meeting when it's done.
All right, my other question is this. Yesterday, you answered my question about the President and President Duterte of the Philippines and his war on drugs. President Duterte has also declared martial law in Mindanao in fighting terrorists and has suggested he might declare a nationwide martial law, not unlike that of the Marcos regime for 15 years. Does the President have any views?
I think you should touch base with the State Department on that.
Sean.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sean. Does the White House still plan on releasing ethics pledge waivers by tomorrow? And if so, will that be administration-wide? And is there any information you can get to us on how to access that?
Yeah, I should have an update for you at some point on that. I'm not ready to discuss it at this time. Zeke.
Thanks, Sean. Just following up on the Jerusalem Amnesty Act waiver, has the President made a decision? Sources are saying he's going to issue it. And does the President have any update on the timing of his decision as fulfilling his pledge to move the embassy?
I expect something very soon on that.
And so will the President also give an explanation for why he's taking whichever action he's taking, given that this was a central campaign pledge of his?
Yeah, I think once we have a decision, we'll put it out and we'll have a statement for you. Eamon.
Thanks, John. A little while ago, Elon Musk tweeted a threat to withdraw from some of the White House CEO councils if the President leaves the Paris Accord, makes that decision. Does the White House have any reaction to that?
I think let's wait and see what the President's decision is. I don't want to get ahead of the President. When he makes that decision, we'll let you know and have any further reaction at that time.
Can you characterize Elon Musk's level of input here? He said he's been advising the President on this. This is somebody that the White House obviously has invited multiple times and participates on multiple councils here. So is he a trusted advisor?
I think the President has a lot of people that he gets input from on a lot of issues.
Sean,
yeah.
CNN is reporting that James Comey will testify that the President pressured him to drop the Michael Flynn investigation. Did the President engage in obstruction of justice in repeated meetings with James Comey?
our job, we are focused on the president's agenda, and going forward, all questions on these matters will be referred to outside counsel Mark Kasowitz.
Thanks, Sean. The president met with European leaders last week, obviously. Did those discussions from the German chancellor and others influence his decision-making on the Paris Climate Agreement?
As I mentioned, the president has taken input from a lot of individuals to help formulate his decision-making, and when he's got that decision made, we'll make it clear.
And a follow-up, please. There are several ways that the president could withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement, the fastest of which is withdrawing from the UN Framework on Convention on Climate Change. Is that on the table?
Again, I don't want to get ahead of what he may or may not do. When we have an announcement, we'll let you know. Matt.
Thanks, Sean. I have a question about this Kathy Griffin incident. Obviously, her conduct has been widely condemned, and it's not a partisan thing to say joking about violence with the president is unacceptable. But on that note, I wanted to ask about Ted Nugent, who joked multiple times about assassinating President Barack Obama, who said Hillary Clinton should be hanged. He was invited to the White House for dinner by President Trump. Do you believe that was appropriate? And if Trump is offended by this incident, why was he not bothered by all of Mr. Nugent's comments?
With respect to Kathy Griffin, I think the president, the first lady, and the Secret Service have all made statements on that I'll let stand.
No, but the Ted Nugent, the discrepancy there, why was it okay for Mr. Nugent to make these comments?
I'm not, to be honest with you, I'd have to look back and see what those statements were and what the reaction was at the time.
Suck on my machine.
I understand that, but I'm not aware of what the reaction was at the time. I know that the statement with respect to Ms. Griffin was acknowledged by both the First Lady, the President, and the Secret Service.
But Ted Nugent did say that, Sean.
Francesca.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Not to beat a dead horse here on the Paris Agreement, though. There have been several reports today that said the President is planning to pull out of the Paris Agreement. Are you saying that those reports are wrong, that he has not made a decision yet?
No, what I am saying is that when the president has a decision to make, he'll let people be it known. And I don't think whether it's a personnel decision or any other action that we tend to get ahead of the president. He's the ultimate decider, and when he has a decision to make, he'll let you know. I'm sorry for the delay, but I know we've got Vietnam welcoming here. Catch up with you later. Thank you, guys.
I'm sure he's going to be.
All right, folks, for those that missed the beginning, we're going to play one more